So, over the last year or so of my watch collecting journey, I've built some pretty cool mods. These are several of them. I've got a couple of more up in the box there, and I've sold off some, and I've built some for friends and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I think at this point I'm kind of done with the Seiko mods for a while, and I may be even, this might be a big leap, but I might even be done with the AliExpress homage brands. Even though I think there's a strong place for them, right? And I do have several in my collection, and I appreciate them. But let's get into detail. So first, let's go back to the beginning of my watch journey. I started looking for a watch, and I was actually looking at a 5KX, and then I found out, oh, you can build these yourself, and I like tinkering, and I like mechanical stuff, and I like customizing. I've done it with a lot of different things, of firearms, pocket knives, all that kind of stuff. And so I thought, well, and at the time I didn't have a ton of extra money, and so I thought, why not just build what I want, and then I can get exactly what I want, right? And so I did. I built this one, and I wanted a sterile dial because at the time I didn't really know how odd that would look, and it didn't really bother me until later. But I built this one, and I wore it for a little bit, and then I started moving on, right, as we all do in our collections. But this one hasn't come out and seen the light of day in a long time. It's a cool looking watch. It's got that kind of like anthracite gray sunburst dial, but it's totally sterile, which is kind of cool, but kind of weird too. And then it's got that topographic pattern bezel, which again is cool, but it just ended up looking like a gray watch to me. Although now that I'm holding it, I am appreciating this one more now. It's been a while since it's been out. So then I built some more, and I obviously bought some more. These are all my Seikos up here. But it's been really fun, and it's also been infuriating. So I learned a lot of things along the way. Like this one started as a Addy's Dive Willard homage. Same thing. This one started as a Heimdallr SKX homage, and I basically swapped the dial. This one I swapped the hands, swapped the bezel insert. This one was just a dial swap, and it started out as an homage, and then I swapped it to a Seiko dial so that it would look like the SKX 009. And I thought, man, I really love this because I couldn't really justify buying a real SKX 009. And I did love it for a little while. I wore it a fair amount. But there's just something not quite there, right? This one I built, and this was in a recent video, I've built this one 2 or 3 times now and had a couple of goes. And this was supposed to be kind of the SRPE 099, if I recall. I don't remember the blue patty turtle, and it's just not quite there. Um, Several of these started as something else. Like again, this was a Heimdallr MM300 homage, and I swapped out the dial to this beautiful sunburst Seiko logo dial, and it looks great. But it's missing something. And the more and more actual Seikos that I bought, the more and more I noticed it. And this one was a totally, from the ground up, bought the case and the bracelet and all that kind of stuff. I even lasered my own logo I came up with on the dial, and it turned out great. It's a beautiful watch, and it's very functional, and it's the MM200 style case, and it looks awesome. It's really nice. The bracelet is outstanding. This watch, if it was from another brand, would be easily a $400 or $500 watch. It's really nice. But they all are just missing that something. And again, with like the, this one on the surface looks nearly identical, and I say that in the broader sense of the word, nearly identical to an original SKX 009. There are some slight differences, but it's missing that soul, right? All the AliExpress homage brands, even like this San Martin Black Bay 58, amazing watch, very well done, but it's missing a soul. And because of that, I don't wear these nearly as often. I really don't. And they're all cool watches. I mean, like this one I just built recently. Again, this is this dial is from DS Watch Club, and the case is from AliExpress, and it's 62 Moss style, and it's beautiful. It looks really nice, and it's a cool watch. But again, it just isn't. There's just something not there. And when I wear them, I feel that, and that's what makes me not wear them nearly as much. For instance, let's see here. So this is my SPB 299. These two watches have nearly identical cases, same dimensions, very similar. They wear exactly the same. The bracelets are slightly different, but for all intents and purposes, they're very, very similar watches. And I love this one. I wear it all the time. I wore it today. That's why I'm still wearing it. This one I hardly wear, even though it's a cool watch. And I can't really explain it other than it just doesn't have a soul. Let's put that one back in the box. And again, this is one of my favorites, the SPB 383. And again, same case structure. A novice would be hard pressed to tell the difference between these two. But when you're holding them in your hand, you can feel the difference. And I don't know how to really explain it, but there is a difference. You can feel it, even though all these homage brands and all the Seiko mods are pretty well done, and they're nice watches in their own right, but you can tell a difference and you can feel it. Again, let me pull these out. So this is the turtle I just did versus this turtle. This is one I have a video on as well that I fixed. So similar, right? The same bracelets fit, all that kind of stuff. But there is a je ne sais quoi to the real thing that there is not to the mods. And going back to my first mod, when I first started doing it, I thought I want a sterile dial because I don't want a logo, and I don't want a fake Seiko logo. And then I did a couple without logos, and I just didn't like it. And then I did some with fake Seiko dials. I'll be honest, this might be divisive, but I was like, I just like this better. I don't know. It's better looking. It's got the Seiko logo. It felt like it should have some history to it, right? But again, it doesn't, and you can feel it when you're wearing it. Even though this is a cool watch, and it's very nice, and it's very functional, and it's very durable, and I would say maybe better build quality than the original SKX. I don't know, or at least close. But you can, at least for me, I can feel that it doesn't have that heritage, and so then, then I started doing my own logo. Again, this one I did, let me get those hands out of the way. It's a cactus with a snowflake, and that's what I did on this GMT as well, but that one's lasered on there. This one's an applied little metallic logo. And I thought, okay, if I'll put a different logo on that dial, but it just didn't feel right, So I went back to a couple of the Seiko logos, and again, I don't know what to say. They don't feel. I don't wear them as much, And I when I put on one of my actual authentic Seikos, it just feels better. It's got a soul to it. You can feel that heritage. And maybe I'm crazy, right? Maybe I'm the foolish one, because they're more expensive and you don't get as many options, right? You can't find a Seiko just like this, right? With a green dial and orange GMT hand, and going back to these two, right? I think these are perfect comparison. They one of the things is that the parts that you order oftentimes don't quite match up. You can see the lume on the dial versus the lume on the hands, and it's probably not going to show on the light here, but the lume is often quite different, whereas on a real Seiko it's consistent across the board for the most part. Things like that, and then I'm sure if you haven't seen my videos on both these turtles and on this, oh man, this one broke me. This might be the one. So this is an OEM dial for the SPB 143, and it's a Heimdallr case, and it came out great. It looks great. It is from the 50 feet away, or even from a novice point of view, this is almost indistinguishable from an actual SPB 143 that costs significantly more. Now this one cost me $250 because that dial was $150, and then the movement and the case and bracelet and all that kind of stuff. The parts, that's where I was going. The parts oftentimes don't fit, and that's the problem I ran into here. And it wasn't really that they didn't fit, it's that I used the wrong tool to press that hand. If you haven't watched the video, go watch it. But same thing, this one gave me a real hard time with the hands, and because of that there's minor imperfections that I notice, and then it just makes me not want to wear the watch. This one is such a cool looking watch. It's so vibrant and it's so bright, but you can, at an angle, you can tell that hand is bowed, and I had such a hard time with this watch that it left a kind of a bad taste in my mouth, and now I barely worn these. When I reach for a watch, it's almost always one of my Seikos. There we go. Now you can see all of them, and there shouldn't be any reason for that, right? Like this MM300 is such a cool watch, but why would I choose something else over this? Well, because there's a tickle in the back of my brain when I wear one of these, and it's fine sometimes, but there's just that little tickle that goes, it's not the real thing, it's not the same. And a prime example is, so this is my SRPE 05, and I love this watch. This is my first turtle, and I've kind of decided this is the watch I'm going to take on a lot of vacations, adventures, right? This is going to be that watch I make a lot of memories with, in that for like adventurous things. When I first built this one, I thought that's the role this is going to fill, right? It looks like the SKX. It's durable, it's pretty rugged, and it's inexpensive, and I don't have to care about it. But then I thought, if I'm doing this cool stuff and I'm making these memories, why do I want to make memories with essentially a fake watch, right? Why wouldn't I want to make them with something better, right? Something a little bit more deserving, and something that 20, 30 years from now I'll put on and still have those memories, like this 40-year-old turtle. Now, I didn't get to make all the memories with this, but somebody did, and that's embedded in the watch. There's just no other way to explain it. That energy is there, and with these homages, it isn't there. They're cool watches, but they almost feel more like wearing a fashion watch, if that makes sense. And I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Now, back to the Homage brands, the AliExpress brands. Again, this Black Bay 58 San Martin, beautifully done watch, and honestly, it hits well above its price point, but it just is lacking, and it's that soul. Even though that seems crazy to say, now I've got some other micro brands, the Helms, and these things are in a similar price point, right? They're a little bit more expensive. They're in the 300 plus, where this was 200, but same movement, by the way. But these they have that thing. It is a micro brand. They're made in China, but it's still, these watches have that. They give me that feeling. I've worn this. Oh man, it's not the Komodo. It's the Kuraburi. I've worn this a bunch of times out in the desert and doing stuff. It's titanium, and it does give me the same feeling as this turtle does. And in fact, these two have I've decided these are going to be like my adventure watches for the most part. If it's really heavy duty, I'll probably wear a G-Shock, but those are the watches I want to take and make those memories with, rather than, any of these. And I built these with my own two hands, and I'm proud of them. They are cool, and I'm happy I got that experience of building these and working on them so that I know what's going on. I know how they work. I've pressed all these hands on myself, and it's been frustrating sometimes and also exhilarating sometimes, when it comes together and it looks beautiful. Like there's no arguing that this watch is a striking looking beautiful watch, and when it comes together, that's a lot of fun. But again, I put it on my wrist and I wear it for a day, and I just would rather choose one of these. That's just my honest opinion. Even like just the most basic of turtles, right? The hard Lex crystal, the aluminum insert, I'd still probably choose this one over what I would consider up-spec'd on any of these other watches, It's just the way it is. And so maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Maybe you're at a similar point in your journey where you are buying some of these homage brands. There's nothing wrong with that, right? They have their place, and they, I still wear this one sometimes, but I think going forwards, I'm going to choose to put my money and my energy into something a little bit more authentic, something a little bit more with a little bit more heritage. And also, I think that, like I said, this SPB 143 build, this one kind of broke me, right? When I was building it, I go back and watch that video, please, because it was quite the journey in about an hour's span. But all the problems it gave me, most of which are my own fault, it soured me on building watches. And it sucks because I've got like a bunch of these tools, I just bought that hand press not that long ago. I've got all the other tools. I've got all these spare parts and things, dials I've taken off and hands I've taken off and swapped and whatever. But I think I'm done building for quite a while. Unless there's something I really, the Seiko dive watches is what really like tickles my brain, as you can see. And unless you really want to build something totally unique that's not anything like you can get on the market, then that'd be a different reason to build a Seiko mod, right? If it's, more of a custom dial, a different case, something totally out of the box, but really these are the styles I love. And so I'm not going to spend the $150 to $200 to build a turtle when I could go, yeah, it'll be double that, right? But I can go buy a real turtle, right? These aren't that expensive, Now, these SPBs are a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it in the end, honestly, because the feeling it gives me when I'm wearing them, it brings me much more joy. And it's kind of hard to admit that because I've spent a lot of time with these and invested time and energy, and tools and learning. And again, it was all great. I don't regret any of that, but they don't get a lot of wear time because of that. And so that's why I think I'm going to put them away for a while. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But going forward, it's going to be, well, I'm probably not buying anything for a while anyways, but it'll be probably a couple of real solid micro brands and the Seikos, sticking with that. So if you guys have an opinion on that, I'd love to hear how you feel. Maybe you feel the same, like I said. Maybe you don't. Maybe you totally disagree and you're all in on San Martin. That's awesome. Nothing wrong with it. And in fact, I can totally respect that. And everyone's got their own journey. And so I'd love to hear yours. So drop a like and go ahead and subscribe to the channel and follow along. Thanks for joining me.